First of all, I must congratulate to you
Thank you.
for a very candid presentation of the geopolitical situation. My question is slightly different, a basic one.
So,
Something which we have, why should we purchase at all? S400, do we really need it? I don't think at all that we need S400 for our security. If you are talking of the radar, we have indigenously developed radar, which is developed with the Israelis. More than 700 kilometers is the range. If you need the missiles, there are two parts of the system, basically the radar and the interception.
correct.
Why do we need to intercept a aerial threat at 400 kilometers? That is Russian problem. They have a huge landmass.
Correct. Correct.
Our problems are different.
Correct.
So this is my basic question. Should we at all go for S400 or any equivalent, or go for our own systems?
So it's absolutely brilliant, but I have another, I fully agree with you 100%. I want to just say the S400 secrets will be given to China. Now, how can the gentlemen who are pushing for this deal assure us that China will not transfer them to Pakistan? Can they assure us on that? And if so, then Pakistan will not know the vulnerabilities of the system? Can they tell us that? Can they give us that kind of promise? And as for you, sir, the point is we don't trust our private sector. We don't trust our Indian people. And because we kept the private sector out of defense, is now we have got this 83% of our core defense is imported.
We did not trust our own private sector, but the matter of fact is every system which we are importing is coming from the private sector industries of other countries.
And may I say one more point, sir? 20 to 30 to 40% of the brain power is Indian.
Okay.
In that. Our own people, you go to San Jose, you go to any of these important locations. It's all Indian brains who are working there, but we don't allow them to work. I can tell you, I have stories in Hyderabad and I have stories from Bangalore of Indian brain young people who have got apps designed, and some foreign companies have used their influence, used the legal system, use the political system, use the official system, and I'm sorry to say some people can be taken care of by giving a scholarship to a son or a daughter. Others can be taken care of by giving a shopping expedition to a wife, whatever it is, and they are destroyed. So finally they have to go to Singapore, they have to go to California, they have to go to Australia, and they become inventors there, and they never come back. It's a horror story for them. I mean, I'm sure many people here will understand what I'm talking about. I have seen dozens of such young people.
You talked about Jews in America. Like Israel has always been very supportive and friendly to India in all the conflict situations with Pakistan or China. Though India has never supported Israel, especially on the Palestine-Arab issue, and recently also we voted against Israel in UNSC. So while Benjamin Netanyahu is very friendly towards India, Israel is very friendly towards India. So why don't we openly ally with Israel, and why do we always need to balance the Arab and the Palestine issue vis-a-vis Israel, and we vote against Israel in the UNSC, while Israel has always supported India and in all this all conflict situations whenever India is faced, and they have the technology, and Jewish brain is very superior. Einstein was a Jewish brain. So,
I want to go back to
thank you.
Moshe Dayan. Moshe Dayan way back came to India, and I talked to some friends who knew Moshe Dayan very well. In fact, his son came as one of the delegates to my India-Israel-US conference in 2003, and he was telling me Moshe Dayan when he went back, and we're talking about the 1970s, he was very worried about India because he said, you are perpetuating a system in which Muslims are made to believe that they're different from everybody else. You are treating them differently, and that is going to be extremely dangerous for you in the future. I think I'm happy about 370. That is over now, but I would like to say Narendra Modi is the first Prime Minister to go right to Jerusalem. He showed exceptional courage in that, And I can only say the Israelis are quite understanding that sometimes you have to, I mean, there are certain things that you have to do which may not reflect the reality. The reality is a very robust security relationship between India and Israel. I want to tell you something. Do you know that the security of the Pakistan, many of the key people in Pakistan, the security systems are basically Israeli security systems, including dear old General Musharraf. Dear old General Musharraf was kept alive despite 2 or 3 assassination attempts because of the Israeli security system. So Israel, I'm sorry? I mean, I don't know what Mossad is, sorry. But all I can say is that, look, I'm glad we went to Jerusalem. And yes, it's not just Israel, it's the Jewish people. You know, they've suffered thousands of years. They've retained that individuality. They've retained their culture. They've retained their tradition. And they've done so much of a contribution to the world. So I have no hesitation in being an admirer of the Jewish people. And I'm happy to say that my Prime Minister went to Jerusalem for the first time, and that moral courage was shown by him.
Sir, very well made case to have a strategic alliance with the United States. Of course, the relationship has been improving, as you have mentioned. And without doubt, this axis of Pakistan, China, and Russia is coming up, which is really a threat in our neighborhood. As Russia, because of their own regions, getting into more and more transactional sort of mindset rather than looking at, they have their own compulsions. But see, the kind of enthusiasm which is emanating out of your presentation, and we all actually echo to some extent that, one does not see similar thumping endorsement from the Washington side to get into new strategic alliances. Leave aside getting into new alliances, their withdrawal. Look at the South Korea, Japan. What they are, I mean, the kind of withdrawal we have now seeing in Afghanistan, that has been given on platter to those people against which the entire machinery went there 2 decades back. So in that scenario, I think choices are limited. Of course, we understand that. At the same time, the picture is not that rosy from the United States point of view as well.
So, what have we given the United States? Are we ready to go into Afghanistan? Are we ready to go to the Middle East? Now, I will give you one example. You go back to, I think in 2005 or 2006, there was a huge 90,000-ton aircraft carrier called the USS Kitty Hawk. It was double the size of the Gorshkov, which became the Vikramaditya. The Deputy Secretary of Defense Assistant, a chap called James Cladd, and myself, we had a discussion. And James Cladd said, why don't you guys ask for the Kitty Hawk? We'll give it to you, free of cost. And I wrote about it, I argued for it, and it didn't work because a very strong lobby here had a lot of, collateral benefits, what Morarji Desai called terminal benefits because of the Gorshkov, which is basically floating, which is floating junk compared to the Kitty Hawk. Gorshkov was not even able to float. Kitty Hawk was steaming all over the place. The fact is, sir, the Americans can transfer 20, 25 capital ships to us. They can transfer aircraft platforms to us. And I don't know where you're getting this. They've offered us THAAD. They've offered us Patriot. They've offered us these platforms. And they've offered all this publicly to us. But I'm only making a simple point. The war on ISIS, on Daesh. Tell me, long back, I think it is in 2015, I wrote 2 or 3 things in which I said, just 2 squadrons of Indian aircraft and 2 or 3 special forces commando groups. Let's send them in to fight ISIS. We didn't do it. We have not dropped one bomb against ISIS. We have not shot one bullet against ISIS. The Russians did it. There are only 2 Russian squadrons in the Middle East. There are only some 5 or 6 Spetsnaz special forces in the Middle East. And today Russia has become a power that is almost even more powerful than America because of those 2 squadrons. We could have sent those 2 squadrons. So my humble request to you, sir, first of all, it's not true, I can tell you. The Americans are today opened the store to us. Barack Obama did that when Ash Carter was the defense secretary. Till then, it was difficult to transfer technology. Ash Carter made a thing that unless 3 undersecretaries sign that you should deny technology to India, India should be given whatever technology India wants. So frankly, sir, that's no longer the case. And the second, again, I'm saying, we have been fighting ISIS with bold words and bold statements. Very bold statement, bolder and bolder. But I would like to see fighting them with bombs and bullets. And secondly, I'd like to say, as far as Kashmir is concerned, if a militant is in a house, destroy that house. Don't allow 3 or 4 soldiers to be killed in trying to take out that house. We don't use helicopters. We don't use aircraft. We don't use artillery. Why not? Why not? Frankly. So, pardon me, sir, but I think we're not, it's not just that the Americans are, frankly, we're very good at talk, but where's the action? Outside South Asia, even in Kashmir, where's the action? They had this terrible deal with the PDP. Now, who are the crazy people who had this deal with the PDP? Why is not one of them being held to account? Why is not one of them, I wrote against that from the very beginning. I know what the PDP is. I go to the Middle East, I go to Saudi Arabia, I go to Qatar, I go to UAE, I found out how they go there and say, we must separate Kashmir, give us some money. We must separate Kashmir, these dirty Hindus, give us some money. Who did that? Who's being punished for that? So, sir, please look into the main thing is, let's understand ourselves first. If you look at Vedic philosophy, the core of Vedic philosophy is self-knowledge.
Sir, I have 2 questions. Firstly, what do you think is going to unfold in Afghanistan? The Americans, President Trump is keen on pulling back the forces before elections 2020, and Taliban almost certainly comes there. So would they be again used by Pakistan for strategic depth, and especially to fuel trouble in Kashmir and throughout India? In fact, they want entire India. Kashmir to bahana hai. Ghazwa Hind asli unka hai ye. So the second question is, you talked about Wahhabism and Middle East. 20, 25, 30 years down the road, oil would go. What do you think after that? The Arabian areas, what would be their future after oil? Are they preparing for that? Thirdly, you said that Russians are aligning with Chinese. Is not the US to blame for that? They are trying to surround Russia all the time, preemptive and through having missiles in Ukraine and everything. And finally, if we can, like Pakistan did between US and China, backdoor diplomacy, they brought them through ping pong diplomacy. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto played a key role for bringing US and China closer. Cannot we do this for Iran with the US? If we can have a US and Iran on the same page, it would benefit both India and US. We can have our entry into Central Asia, and so can the Americans. And Iran really is pretty much neutral to us, not a problem. Thank you so much.
So the last question I'd like to say is perfectly correct, and several Americans agree with me. I have emails from them. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to have lunch with the president of the Hudson Institute, a gentleman called Kenneth Weinstein. We are at the ISC and XC. And Ken Weinstein is very close to a gentleman called Mike Pence, who's the vice president. And Ken Weinstein and a guy called Dr. Rose wrote Mike Pence's speech on China. I don't know if you heard Mike Pence on China. He was very direct on China. I'm only saying that yes, a lot of key American scholars say that yes, it is not a problem. That's why I'm saying we should have kept buying oil from Iran, because if we don't buy oil, they'll give Chabahar to China. And we lose Chabahar, it's a loss for us and the Americans. Secondly, 1982, Ariel Sharon made a huge mistake. In the Lebanese civil war, he went and intervened on behalf of the Maronite Christians against the Shia. Complete mistake, big mistake. That is why Israel is the only non-Muslim country where Shia terrorism is there. No other country. So regarding Afghanistan, it's a work in progress. I think Trump has been told very bluntly, this Zalmay Khalilzad is, I have tweeted that he is basically a useful idiot of the GHQ Rawalpindi. You haven't read my pieces on Afghanistan, my overt pieces in Sunday Guardian. Please read them. He's a useful idiot. The man is an idiot, and he's a complete, look, he's got money from the Wahhabi lobby, from Qatar, for example. He has tons of money from Qatar and the old Saudi people, not the new Saudi, the old Saudi. Look, he's a grateful man. When you're given millions of dollars, you have to be grateful. You have to support, and they want the Taliban in. Now, the good news for us is you have a Taliban, basically slaves of Pakistan army, and a Taliban which is Pashtuns or hostile to the Pakistan army. We need to work with the anti-Pakistan army Taliban and break the Taliban and make them fight each other. In the 1990s, the war in Kashmir was essentially turned the corner when there was more fighting going on between Kashmiris and these outsiders. The Kashmiri fighters who turned and became pro-India, you remember. And I'm sorry to say, during the time of, including the BJP time of Vajpayee, these fighters were ignored. Many of them were killed. Many of them were killed. As a consequence of their loyalty to India, they were killed. Because we have to split the Taliban. And I don't believe American forces are going to go away. The Pentagon is very clear they're not going to go away. But they need help from an important country. And that important country is India. Without, they cannot, I can tell you, America cannot win the war against Wahhabism without India. We cannot fight the war against Wahhabism without America. That's the reality. As far as Chinese are concerned, all they want is, don't come interfere with us. And we won't bother. That's why no Wahhabi goes after China. And internally, I think in Xinjiang, they're doing pretty effective work, if I may say so.
But we also don't bother the Wahhabis.
I'm sorry. The fact is, they regard us as weaklings, and there are three factors: Darul Harb and Darul Islam. And stage number one is Darul Islam, where you have a majority of, I'm not saying Muslims, I will differentiate Muslims from Wahhabis, where it's all completely Wahhabi controlled. Then you have countries where there are splits in the non-Wahhabi, non-Muslim camp. In these countries, create hell, so that eventually they go into Darul Islam. And the third is when the non-Wahhabis are united and they challenge the Wahhabis. In such situations, put your hands up and say, wonderful, 370 is good, triple talaq is good, uniform civil code is good. So this is 1, 2 and 3. We are still more 2 than 3.